Hi and welcome to a roundtable discussion as part of MultiChoice's Namibia local content project Umbura, which is our phase 2 of local content. Today we're talking all things acting. I'm Alzita Biekus and I am the Manager of Corporate Affairs at MultiChoice. Joining me today is 3 really exceptional actors in the Namibian space. Some of you who might remember them from our first phase of the films. So with me is Diana Masters. She was in Penda's Dilemma. And then Dice number 1 Stunner, who was almost in everything, but he gave us a very emotional portrayal in The Funeral. And also Mervyn Klaassen, who was our season villain in Bokwachter, Wish for Death, as well as Kaunas ER. So welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So maybe just start us off. What have you guys been doing since we had the Mukorop phase 1?
All right, so of course I am a television presenter, so that's my day-to-day job. But I have actually been in a production as of late. It just premiered. It premiered in, when was it? On the 4th of July. Yes, that's when it premiered. It's a lesbian film, the first lesbian film in Namibia. So that's what I've basically been up to, just on the lookout for more auditions so that I can be, in new movies. I love being on set. So I'm looking forward to some more films.
Practicing the craft.
Yes, of course.
Dice?
Yes, for me, well, I was pretty much involved in the second leg. I was fortunate to be casted for the second round, Umbura. So I did one leading role, and then I did supporting lead. So that's what's been keeping me busy, at least for the first part of the year, till 2 months ago. So yeah.
So that was Die Rooftop, where you're the support,
Yes.
and then the one where you're the lead.
No, supporting lead was Die Rooftop.
Yes.
And then I played a supporting lead again in Speelan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, exciting. Those will be coming out later this year in October on CakeNet and Key, as well as Showmax. Mervyn, what have you been up to?
I want to finish my water, but I don't want people to say that this guy came thirsty. Yeah. I was involved in the first round in a couple of them.
Yes.
And after that, I did a lot of short plays. And I've
A theatre, right? Yes.
Short theatre plays for corporate companies. And for UNAM as well. I'm a final year student there, if I don't fail. So after that, we did, for the Umbura project, we did Double Mulekid, where I'm the lead.
Yes.
Very exciting. And I'm waiting for it to come out. So
Very funny.
Yeah.
It's a buddy cop film, and it's really funny. We follow the antics, so that's
at least this
great
time around, I'm not the villain.
Not the villain.
In the first round, all the films that I was casted, I was the bad guy.
Yes.
I don't know, man. Such a lovely guy.
Yeah,
But you played well.
we loved that villain in Bokwachter, especially. We were saying it was the villain we love to hate, actually. Yeah. And the end, I was kind of rooting for you, and then it was very sad when you got like roundhouse kicked.
By that kids, my 9-year-old, 10-year, I'll get them back.
You'll get them.
Yeah.
We believe you. So maybe let's just talk about acting and specifically pursuing career of acting in Namibia. So what kind of inspired you guys to get to start a career in acting? I know this is not your main hustle, like we say, or your main job, but what kind of inspired you to pursue a career in acting?
All right, so for me, I've always been an actress. Like I say, my back hurts from carrying all the talent and good looks of the family.
Stop it, girl.
But basically, I think ever since I was 5, I remember my very first role, I was cast as Mary in the Nativity play.
Yes.
So I think that just opened up the door for me, because everybody would always tell me how much of a great actress I am and how I should pursue it further. So in a way, I feel like this was decided for me. I didn't actually decide it. But it was one of those things where it was a win-win situation, because people are like, you should do it. And then I do it and I'm like, I love this. So ever since I was 5 years old, I've been acting.
Were you also like practicing in the mirror, doing toothpaste commercials? Because I totally used to do that.
Yes,
So
I still do. I still do.
Dice, what inspired you?
Okay, inspiration-wise, became very late, very, very, very later in my entertainment career. So for me, everything started in high school when I started doing music. We used to do rap battles, and then eventually we started doing talent shows, and then we started recording, and then after that we started doing music videos.
Okay.
So over the years, still back then when I was in school, I think I was first year in varsity, first year varsity. I did a lot of music videos. And there was one time when I worked with Errol Gainkop, Desert Film Production. They just came from Arandas. I was the first guy that they shot. And it was a, what do you call it? Like this love story, that kind of music videos. And he edited it, and he called me in, and he played me the my clips. And then he said, look, I'm working on a short film and I would like you to audition for it. Okay. I was like, bruv, it's not me. Even though in the back of my mind, I always aspired being an actor. But I really never thought me being a film star or anything in that line. So he said, no, just try it. If you like it, we take it from there. If you don't like it, then it is what it is. So my first role that he casted me for was Dreamers. I remember, I will never forget my first day on set. I was with Hazel Hinder. I was with Shuna. She just did Karitura. I was with Dalton, I think, was also in the film. I was with Chops. He's also just did Karitura. These guys just got awards, mind you.
Yes. And they still do. They won for Higher Rep.
You know what I mean? So I'm with all of these guys, and Hazel just came from what's it called? Saving the Land. Yeah. And I am the rookie on set, and I got a lead role. And I knew nothing as far as what do you call it? Is it tactics, or what do you call it?
Blocking.
Blocking.
Yes.
It's a term that we normally use. It's just out of my mind. But anyways, so it started there, and I'm always a firm believer of if you start something, finish it. And me being on set, I had to learn from everybody. I confessed to everybody, said that I have no experience. I will need you guys to guide me through this. There was a lot of silly mistakes that I did, looking at myself in post. You know, especially like with continuity. There was a take that I'm standing like this, and then in the other take I'm standing like this. It was just a mess.
Continuity
it was just a mess. So over time, I learned to really just love the craft, and I think when I really started creating an interest and a passion for it was when I did The Third Wheel. That was when I was like, okay, this is something I see myself doing, and I have to split between my music and really just put in the time and effort to study and learn and to shadow everybody as far as the film industry is concerned in Namibia, and just try to be the best version that I can be and just play my part and contribute. So that's how it started.
Cool. Yeah. So very different paths, and I think Mervin's, yours is also a different path to acting, right?
I mean, she mentioned that she was Mary.
Yeah.
My first play,
Nativity. The lead.
And my first play was the same. I was the Joseph, so practically, you're my woman, you're my girl. We have been coming.
Look at you doing romance already. This is destiny.
And I saw that the moment that I saw you outside, we'll have a conversation after this.
We have to.
But that was my first play. That was my first play, and I did several plays in high school. But my final year, because I never really took it seriously, I met a gentleman called Severius Majid. That was my grade 12 year. And ever since that, I have never turned my back on theater, film, acting, and so on. So we taught the whole Namibia. We did a lot of, especially industrial theater plays. And the gentleman inspired me. And I've worked with another gentleman called Joseph Molapong. And that is the guy that really boosted my career in terms of acting, in terms of script writing, developing, character developing, everything. So we have been into a lot of things ever since.
Okay. So you answered my next question, actually. What international? So you've answered local inspiration. Someone who internationally do you think inspires you as an actor?
Yes, that's a tough one.
It's a heavy one.
I have guys that are really serious. You know, gentlemen like Tyler Berry's and the Denzel Washingtons. Those guys, they're quite serious in terms of what they deliver. They go on set. They make sure whatever comes out are of good quality.
Yes. Work ethic.
Yeah, and there was a specific time that wrote something to Tyler Perry.
Nice.
But I don't think he ever received that.
Yeah.
But there was a time that you sit down and think, no man, let me write to this guy. You find on his Facebook page or whatever page that they might be, and you try to write to this guy and see whether it might come out some or the other time. So you write because they inspire you to do better.
Yes.
And sometimes you sit down and you think, no man, maybe I'm geographically disadvantaged and I need to be somewhere else.
Yes, I agree.
So,
And we'll get into that.
and also gentlemen like Jim Carrey and those guys, they are great inspiration too. Because most of the acts that I did are comic. My love for film is more on the comic side. So those are the guys that inspired me also.
What I loved about Bokwachter when you were in it, everyone kept saying, we've seen Namibians do drama, we've seen Namibians do romance, but it was the first time that we actually saw comedy come to the screen, and it was nice to know, because I think comedy is harder to do than the other ones, like different people find different things funny, right? So it was a nice, I think, expansion for us also as an industry. And earlier we spoke to the directors, filmmakers also, and you can follow that on one of our other episodes. So maybe, Diana, you can tell us who's your international and local inspiration for your career.
Well, locally, I would say I've been so blessed to work with so many actors and actresses. Hazel Hinder definitely comes to mind. She is amazing.
She is a friend to multi-choice.
She is, oh my goodness. I absolutely love Hazel, mostly because she shares a name with my mom. She's my mom's namesake, so I guess that's biased.
Yeah.
But even Odile Gertze, I am so blessed to have worked with her as well. So I think they are some of my inspiration. And of course, now that I'm on the spot, like you tend to forget names. But I really admire all the all the actresses basically that are in the industry locally. Internationally, a few names definitely cross my mind because it goes back to what you were saying about practicing in the mirror. So currently I'm watching Scandal and I'm like, Kerry Washington. Would I be able to nail that?
She's a vet.
She's, so Kerry Washington, Viola Davis, Meryl Streep, the heavy hitters. Meryl Streep, just because of her wide variety and
versatile.
She's very versatile. So that's who I aspire to be as well. So I think when it comes to that, and not even just with actors, but producers as well, I would love to work with Shonda Rhimes.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I would absolutely love to do that. But like I'm saying, Kerry Washington, Viola Davis, Lupita Nyong'o, all of these.
These are like all
actresses.
my favorites as well. So I feel like we're like on the same.
Okay,
path,
That's great. So yeah.
Dice, locally, internationally?
Let me start internationally. Career-wise, I follow this guy's career religiously. Till the last part when he went to go slap somebody, that's Will Smith. Just because he started off as a musician and then he took this sitcom role and then he pushed it to where he is now, the Will Smith of today. But as far as a mentor, someone that I always aspire to be like on film, is definitely Denzel Washington. I don't ever use catalog of favorites, but that guy is somebody that always. I've seen a new trailer of a film that's coming out now. I won't mention it.
Yes.
No,
it'll be on Mnet. Don't worry.
Okay. Oh, my man.
My man. Gladiator 2, right?
Gladiator 2. So he's always so diverse. You can never really make out what kind of a person this guy is because every time you see him, he's a different kind of Denzel Washington, and that's the kind of actor I aspire to be. I want to be known for diversity. So and locally, there's always been two guys. I've watched them as a kid. We had black and white TVs back in the day. They did drama, which obviously played on TV. And I was just like this, and I understood everything, even though there was no sound on the TV. And that's One Fine Day. I'm talking about Lazarus Jacobs and Dalton. Those are my guys. Those are really the guys when it comes to local films. From a young age, these are the guys that really inspired me. Yeah.
That's great.
It will be unfair if I don't mention the likes of and they are the late gentlemen, the David Njavera.
I actually thought you would say that.
Because I've worked with him a lot.
Phenomenal.
I've worked with Stanley Van Veek also. Stanley Van Veek also.
Yes.
I I'm fortunate enough because
Stanley? The late Stanley?
The late Stanley. Except for you, because I was also the guy that developed some of the industrial theatre scripts with Joseph Molapong, and we taught with these guys. And even with David Njavera, I will write a script and we'll tour this whole of Namibia together, and he would give me. He was very humble.
To me, Stanley he's the godfather of comedy.
I mean, and also with David, I mean, we affectionately knew him as Uncle David. Yeah. So I think everybody in the industry who's even had the pleasure to work with him only has good things to say about him.
Yeah.
No,
and so with these new films coming out that MultiChoice is investing in, you guys are going to be the next Stanleys and Davids, young. And this is largely what this podcast is for aspiring actors, filmmakers, to kind of answer some of the questions that they have. So we delved into how you got started. So maybe let's talk about the work of an actor. We spoke earlier a little bit off camera about being typecast. Mervyn always the villain, sadly, and Diana always the bitchy girlfriend,
the mean girl,
or whatever. And of course, Dice is always the
boyfriend,
heartthrob, the love interest. I mean, look at him, right? Look at him. So how do we approach a new role and kind of how do we make sure that we don't get typecast, especially when you're starting out in a career?
So the problem with this industry, I would say, is filmmakers, right? I'm talking directors, producers. They see you in one film, and they absolutely love you in that. That's your role.
Yeah.
That is it. That's it. So now, because the thing is, what actors also don't understand, especially upcoming actors, as much as this person is the director on this film, and there's like the second AD is also watching.
Yes.
The second AD is eventually going to have their own production, and then they cast you. But now because they loved you so much as this role, that's all they can see you as.
Yeah.
So that becomes a challenge. But then it's all about, again, accepting and taking roles, right? Because you don't
have to practice your craft.
You have to practice your craft. So you can't just stick to your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You have to step outside the box. For example, when I did Penda's Dilemma, I was terrified because I don't do comedy.
Yeah.
Right? And the problem with comedy is there's a fine line between being funny and being silly.
Yeah.
And you never want to cross into the silly line.
Unless it's that kind of film.
Unless it's that kind of film. But with Penda's Dilemma, that's not what we were going
very
for.
satirical.
Yes,
Very,
exactly. So I was extremely nervous, to say the least, to get into that role. But then I was just like, you know what? This is you. You can do this. And I'm so fortunate to have so many people around me, who believe in my craft. So I would say, as an actress or as an actor, first things first, when you get a role, is to first read through the script. Right? Even like, let's say it's just an audition tape. Cool, you send in the audition tape. From the description, you already know this is something I could either do or I can't do. Or this is something I'm willing to challenge myself into doing.
Yeah.
And then you get into it. And then once you get that script, read through that script. Understand what that script is saying. Who is your character? Before you even meet with the director to give you your backstory, come up with your own backstory.
I was going to ask about the backstory.
Yes. Come up with your own backstory. Who is your character? Where are they from? Why are they this way? What motivates them? What circumstances happened that forced them to be the way they are? So now once you understand that, it's easier for you to then step into that role. Because a lot of actors or upcoming actors take roles on a surface level. They're not willing to dive deeper. It's
and
just
it shows on screen, right?
You know,
it shows on screen. Yeah.
It does. So the minute you immerse yourself fully into this role, you give it your all, not just in terms of acting, but in terms of understanding the story and portraying the character to the best of your ability. And it will come a time where you and the director have different visions. That has happened to me so many times, where it's like, no, but I envisioned this character this way, and the director's like, yeah, but I
envisioned this scene playing out.
Yes,
this is how my character would react. Right?
Yes, exactly.
And then that's not what the director
has seen. So that's when you sit down with the director. You discuss with the director, okay, you know what? We can try it your way. The thing with me is I'm always willing to try new things. So I say, okay, you know what? Let's try it your way first, but can we also try it my way, just so you see it before you rule out the idea? It's all about respecting one another, because you don't want to work with a director that's no, my way or the highway. I've been so blessed to work with directors that are so open, that are willing to let me do my thing. But sometimes these directors are just like, you know what? You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
show us what you do.
So we had masterclasses around acting and casting with Munira Saleh. She is an award-winning producer as well as an actor. And one of the things that she said was, if she gives a script to an actor and that person doesn't show up for audition with notes, then she knows this is probably not the right cast. So, Dice, what kind of notes do you have? What takes you into like becoming the character?
I think Diana said pretty much everything. But for me, yes, if I don't have my script on set, I have to go home and go get it.
Yeah.
Because if you see the script that I normally use on set, there's so many notes on it. It's the behavior of this character. It's the speech patterns of this character. But just to go back 2 steps to what Diana just said, choosing a character for me is it. Like I said earlier, I look at I judge myself on the previous role that I've done, and I would like to do something different. So, like when we did the funeral, for example, that was one of the most scariest roles I've ever played. I quit so many times. I told Miranda, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I really can't, because only then, when I got that role, I realized that acting is vulnerability.
Yeah.
Acting is, you need to be vulnerable. You can't play it safe. There is no safe when you're an actor. You need to be your most vulnerable, because that is when you literally surrender yourself and you become somebody else that you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And with the funeral, that's the challenge that I had, because already as a macho man, I already have so many issues, personal issues, and I had to play a guy that has got a backstory which is very close to my personal one. And, you're dealing with past trauma, which is losing your parents, your dad, or whatever, and you need to confront these feelings.
Yeah.
So it was very, very challenging emotionally and mentally. I already, in the casting, in the audition, they asked me to send a video. I did it. I was like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but I was like, but I really want to challenge myself.
Yeah.
Singer calls me back, you got the role, but we need to do a follow-up audition. I said, no, man. Guys, no. Let's just get into it.
Yeah.
I cannot do it again.
It's those directors like, we can get more out of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Mind you, this is just a second phase of audition. I'm like, bruv, what if I don't get it? I did all of that for nothing.
Yeah.
So I was so blessed to have a female director.
Miranda's great.
Yes. And I think if it was a male director, I don't think I would have pulled it off the same way as I did with Miranda.
Because of the vulnerability, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she allowed me to play my character and to bring out those emotions in a very safe manner. And I was also blessed to have Hazel on set, because she gave me a lot of tricks that helped me a lot.
Yeah.
So moving forward to what you asked, now I'm back on the funeral again.
Yes.
All of these
Yeah.
emotions are coming back.
You took us on an emotional journey as well with that film.
It was not easy. Like, mind you, when we went to Aranos, we did a few scenes in Windhoek, and then we drove to Aranos early morning. And then just as we arriving, Miranda was like, we're going to shoot. We didn't even spend a minute to...
Because she was thinking of the budget, of course.
Not just that. We had to rip the Band-Aid.
Okay.
Like, we just had to get into it, because that was one of the most heaviest scenes in the film.
Yeah.
And she just wanted to get it out of the way as soon as possible. And that was challenging. I found myself in the hotel room just tearing up for no reason.
Yeah.
I'm talking to people and I can't explain my emotions. Like, most of the times, especially after that specific day, I had to really just isolate myself to debrief, because if Hazel wasn't there,
But again, that's the thing, when you have good people on set to support
Yes.
you,
Yeah.
because with these vulnerable scenes, what people don't realize, it's, yes, as much as we're actors and we can cry on cue, it's not just, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
and you start crying.
Yeah.
You still have to get into that
Exactly.
space.
Yes.
And then also with the director, because I have worked with directors that are just like, no, let's get more out of her. And it's like,
that's Miranda.
no, but then there are people that know the limits.
Yeah.
And then there's some directors that are just like, I don't care.
Not so picky.
Yeah, and then you're just like, no, I cannot anymore. I've had moments where I've had to walk off set because I'm like, no, I cannot do this anymore. I'm giving you as much as I can give you that I feel is safe.
It's not giving away part of myself too much,
Yes,
right?
Exactly. So it's one of those things, and yes, as much as they want to break you down to get the best version out of you, it's one of those things where you also have to know your limits and your boundaries. Yeah.
So now coming back to my script, I think for me is, like I said, speech pattern, etc., etc. My script has got, I need to speak in my own authentic way. Doesn't matter the language. I try to, and that's what the tip that I always give people. Don't try to. It's not about the lines.
It's not memorizing.
Yeah, don't memorize the lines. It's how does this person speak if he had to say this?
Yeah.
You understand? Because that script was written with someone else's thought. So you need to put that conversation into your own speech pattern. And that is why it's so important for me to have my script on set, because all of these notes are in there. Even just body movement, it's everything is written down. Like I picture myself playing the role with an imaginary co-star, and then I'm making notes as to what would he do in that moment when that person would react, etc. So that is for me very important. As much as understanding the backstory, you need to make the character yours. It needs to be believable. You need to become this person, and notes help.
Yeah.
The notes are very important.
So Mervyn, maybe you can take us through your process also, like when you're tackling a new role and how to get into character.
Number one, she mentioned it, that you need to know the script.
Yeah.
Give me the script. Let me go through the script. Let me create my own understanding first of how I see this character and who the other characters are within the script also, and what are the relationships with these characters.
Yeah.
So basically going through the script is going to teach me this is the relationship that these characters have towards each other. Also, what does the director see in this? What is the vision of the director? And then
That's
you go deeper into the analyzing of this character. When was he born? How old is he?
Creating that backstory, right?
You know, where does he come from? What are the traumas of this guy? What has he went through to be this guy that
Do you
he
do
is?
that for comedy as well?
For everything.
Okay.
For everything. It's very important.
So funny guy.
You need to,
Just a funny guy, right?
No, funny guy is not just a funny guy. Where is he coming from? Maybe this guy comes from the farm. That's why he does not know all these things that he does not know.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him funny.
Yeah, right.
So I cannot
And the
just...
villain can't be one-dimensional. I'm just not bad because I'm bad, right?
Yeah. So I cannot grow up in Windhoek and not go into the toilet. I grow up in Windhoek and go into the toilet and think these are sweets and eat the things that we pee on, you understand? So this guy must be coming from the farm not to know that this is it's not sweets. So
This
there
is
must
from
be
Double Mulligate, right?
No, Double Mulligate has other things also, but we did a lot of deep
spoilers.
analysis in terms of, and also for me, it's also understanding who the next character is on set, because that gives you an idea of how you need to talk to this guy.
Yeah.
Is he superior? Okay, this is the tone that I'm going to use. Oh, this is my woman that I love. This is what I feel when I say this. So understanding the emotion, the relationship, you understand, gives you as to how calm or in how rash or how angry you need to speak to that next person.
Yeah.
Also for me, very important, when is this taking place? Is it in the 1960s? What am I going to wear that's going to fit? How did they used to speak back in the day? So
Research.
So you need to do a lot of research. You must understand this is taking place in the year 2024. Okay.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of things that we look at in terms of how do you use your technical things. You know, you cannot just hold water the whole time, but you never had a sip of the water.
Yes.
So this guy is maybe the guy that always has his water. How do you use the props with you?
Intentional.
So there's a lot of things that I look at in terms of preparing. And when I go on set, unfortunately, I need to know my lines.
Yes.
I need to know my lines because for me, it's a respect that I have towards the director and towards other actors also. I don't want to come on set and waste your time. And I also don't want you to come on set and waste my time.
Because it's a profession, right?
Yes.
It's not just being a creative. There's money, there's effort, there's a channel that wants it, that has its prerequisites.
And just to add on to that, actually, what you were saying, like it's knowing your lines, and what Dai said as well. Like knowing your lines is not just memorizing.
Yeah.
I think
How do you say it?
How do you say it? Because the reason a lot of people forget their lines is because they've memorized it.
Yes.
But when you know your lines, because you know what, in this moment, I'm extremely angry. So everything just comes naturally. And then when it comes to the script as well, just an important note, do not change anything on that script.
Yeah.
Unless you sat down with your director
100%.
and you've discussed with your director. It could be a simple word as saying that instead of that is.
Yes.
That makes the world of a difference. So sit down with your director. Say to your director, I feel like my character would say it this way. And then you guys can work on that. You don't just decide to change things just because you feel like it.
Yeah.
Sit down with your director, discuss it first. Don't make any decisions by yourself.